broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Bar Rescue After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're doing Storming the Castle. That's right, Friar Tuck's a 4,000 square foot bar in Pomona that looks like a mini golf place. It really did. Built since the 1990s, and ever since there, it used to be a hamburger joint. Almost looked kind of like a White Castle.
It did.
Literally.
Totally did.
It was a White Castle.
Okay, I have to say, it reminded me so much of Borat. When you just said Storm in the Castle, you know that part where he sits down, he's like, King in the Castle, King in the Castle. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I do know what you're talking about.
Okay, you just reminded me of that. That's a good scene.
Fair enough.
It's a good scene.
Well, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is a great movie. This was not a White Castle.
Nope.
And even if it was the worst White Castle ever because everything was just deteriorating. We have Ivan and Sammy, the owner and the general manager, and they couldn't be more at odds. But by the way, before we fully dive into tonight's episode, we have Ashley Daniels.
Hi, everyone.
We have Phil Svitek, and we do
Hi,
not.
Phil.
Hello, everybody. We do not, unfortunately, have Kevin Undergaro, Mia Mastriani, or Dorinda Barker. They will rejoin us. We're an eclectic group. We kind of mix and match.
We do.
But tonight you have us.
We have Chloe and Sparky, too. They're in the building.
That's right. They're kind of wandering around, so if you hear a dog bark here, too.
It's not me.
There you go.
There we go.
Overall impressions.
Once again, I think it's an episode where I learned a lot of specific things that I wouldn't otherwise know. I know he's mentioned it before, but like with the 1.75 liter, when you pour with that, you pour 20 to 30% more per cup, and just little things like that. I'm always learning watching this. I feel like very proactive. Like I can sit and watch TV and become smarter. So I loved it. I thought it was, similar to the other episodes where we do see somebody that's a little bit negative, and then they obviously see the light, and they, in this case, Ivan was a little bit, wasn't somebody I would ever want to work for. It was
tough. I mean, I always follow John Taffer kind of beforehand, and one of his big things was, if you think I like to yell, wait till you see Ivan. And boy, they went tit for tat overall in the episode. So, this is kind of jumping slightly into the latter part of the recon. But he says, how many times did you say bad things to your employees? And how many? And he says basically probably 500 times today. Yep. And how many things have you said terrible to your customers? Probably 20 times today. Right. When you're in customer service, probably not the right answer at all. No.
But at least he was honest. He's there to, he knows that if he's not honest, he does an injustice on his business and on himself. And so by answering truthfully, I gave him credit on that because he seemed like the type of guy that wouldn't respond, honestly on an answer like that.
But I get this a lot, right? And let me think how to best kind of put it out there, right? He said, you said he was honest. But here's the thing. He's failing, and he was doing it in a snarky way, right? And so now take his snarkiness and his failing bar, and it's just a bad combination. Now, there's other people that I think are still... I still put in the bad category only because, okay, they say, only judge me by my results. Okay, your results are okay, but there's only so long that anyone's going to want to work with you if you're an asshole.
Not to mention if you're not getting paid for 5 years. Like, what was it? Was one of them was 5 years?
Sammy hadn't been paid for 5 years because he was...
Come on. You can't even expect your employee to not sue you. Never mind come to work and have somewhat of a positive outlook on his job and on his tasks.
Let me ask you, I mean, it's such a delusional, it's one of those things like, when you're they obviously, Dorinda always calls it a family, and I think very much so it is, right, when you're in the bar business. And so to not be, he was an extreme case because he was, not necessarily an owner, but he was very much part of the business. But the other people, they haven't been paid in a couple of weeks and whatever else. And so to have that much trust in this type of business that is going downhill is just such a dysfunctional way of looking at it. Because here now, I can only judge by LA, but if there's a lot of people willing to work for free, but they need to know that they're either getting an education, that they're getting to develop their own things, or whatever. And no offense, in the bar business, if you're just making drinks, I mean, and you're not being taught, how far can you really get ahead? Well,
the difference is if you're not getting paid versus if you are getting paid. When you are getting paid and you're not getting paid, the bitterness that's just building up and the anger that's building up, and knowing that you have something that's owed to you that you're not getting, the frustration, I cannot even imagine. I can't, honestly. One time I remember working at a job and they owed me like $12 from like a car I parked once, my car. And I just remember being like, I need to get that money back. Like, it aggravated me. I'm like, I don't want them owing me anything because I'm working and there's nothing I'm learning here. It's like one of those jobs you just do for money. So I can't imagine this job with this bitter, horrible boss. And then on top of it, you haven't been paid that long. How do you, it's crazy.
It just honestly creates a black cloud. I mean, it goes even back to simpler terms, right? I hate owing people any sort of money. And they always say, like, when you get a check from somebody, cash it in right away. Because some people wait like 3-4 months and it just becomes this annoying thing because then the person's totally forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. And then you can finally cash in after months and you're like, oh, now I'm overdrawn because I had planned on that check going through 3 months ago. Right. But we digress.
We do digress, but I get it. What did you think though about the fact that the bartenders and Sammy and their view on Ivan and just like how they handled the situation all these years or all this time that they've been working there? How do you think that they?
I think it's I give all of these people a lot of times credit again for staying together and having that family. Now, albeit most times it's a dysfunctional family, but it starts with management. If you see it being dysfunctional, and it's right, you see Ivan and Sammy fighting all the time. So how are you to take that? And that's why you would never see me, if there's ever a dispute with me and any one of my staff members, regardless of the hierarchy, I always try to take them aside.
Yep.
Unless I can actually teach a lesson out of it that could benefit the entire room, regardless of who it is. Mm-hmm. I know, hey, let's step aside. Let's you and I talk and work this out. It is not beneficial for people to see this.
Right. Oh, totally. Agreed. I mean, just the fact that everybody heard it, and I mean, the bar patrons heard it, everybody heard it. They didn't shut the door in the very beginning. It just showed the level that they've gone to now, that there's no boundaries left. They've crossed them all. So there's no like fear that, anybody that's coming in is going to hear anything. They just don't even think of it like that anymore. There's just no line anymore.
Absolutely. And honestly, even on a good day, as I'm sure having worked over at Spago, like, even when things are going good, they're still chaotic as can be, right?
Mm-hmm. And
that's
of course.
It's organized chaos. And, to someone who's not trained in that, you can, you misinterpret it in the worst of ways, and you could be like, wow, what's going on here? Is there an issue here?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've had like 10 different jobs in my life, and all of them, it just requires you to, understand how to handle chaos. I have mine on airplane mode. Excuse us for a moment. Is that still going to make it?
I don't know. I'm getting the
my
sign
notes
that there's
are on my phone.
There's a phone near the mic.
Then I'm gonna have to just not use my thing. Well, I want to talk about though the fact that
I can't hear your phone, so you're all right.
You can't? Okay.
I can't, but I'm being told otherwise.
Organized chaos. So I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because if you know how to handle the chaos and you can let it you can let it drive you to do a better job, and you utilize that chaos in a way that you can change it into something positive, then yes. But if you are in that moment with chaos and you just let it get the best of you, it's not going to work out. You're going to do a really bad job at your whatever task you're doing.
And that's a great point, because as we see, it's so easy to rag on these people and criticize, right? But right away, even in the recon, Taffer in the van says, you know what? He's doing a good. Ivan's doing a good job of dicing up the onions, and he's got some technique in the kitchen. He doesn't have the wherewithal to kind of put it all together, but there's stuff to work with. And I feel like too many times people, again, it's so much. Anyone, honestly, even if you didn't know the bar industry, could criticize so easily, like, this place is dirty, it's gross, blah blah blah. But can you really take just the smallest little bit and spark it so that way it has a chance to succeed? And that's what I liked, in this recon in particular, was that we really found that, hey, this guy can have the ability to cook.
Yep.
So.
It's one of those things where when you're so in debt, I mean, I think Ivan was $100,000 in debt, losing $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and they owed $27,000 in taxes. When you're at that level, I cannot imagine getting up and finding a way to embrace the day and see the day as a positive opportunity to change, because you're just so far in this gutter of debt that how do you manage to even get out? Because by the time you get out of it, then you're just even. Now that's like, now you paid off all your debt and you're not even making a profit.
Well, that's where I just get so, I'm glad this is a tale that actually works out really well. We'll talk about it in the update section, but when you had Ivan and here comes Taffer finally, he's like, I've had enough. And he comes in and he says, you're not even dressed for success. Oh, let me button up my shirt. It's like,
no,
cut the cockiness. If it wasn't for Sammy walking out, and I mean, that guy was honestly desperate.
Yep.
He said, please don't leave. Whatever you do, don't leave.
Another moment where we saw John stay for the good of somebody else, and knowing that whether it's an employee or it's a bartender, whatever it is, John needs to see that spark in somebody at this place, because he's not the effort he puts in. This is not production. This is not fake. This is him putting countless hours into fixing the situation. And if there's nobody that's going to appreciate it, why the heck would he waste his time? He has a zillion other things he could be doing.
And I liked how he put it, it works twofold. One, John, for his own benefit, needs to figure out how to get through to Ivan, but then he's also getting Sammy in the mode of solution oriented, because he's like, okay, how do I get through to him? Do you have a solution? And Sammy starts coming up with stuff. Now, luckily it's stuff that worked out, but even if it didn't, it's just, okay, it's getting his brain into that function of, okay, you got to start fixing some of these problems. You got to take charge.
Makes you wonder what would happen at this, because they wait till the very last second. These people that call bar rescue, it's like they're already so far in debt, and just so it makes me wonder, why did the people let it get this far? Is it just you get so used to it? You get so...
oftentimes you don't realize the horrificness of your own situation until it's very, very late.
Yeah.
A lot of times, it goes, whether it's with bars, it can be with relationships,
True. Yep. Sometimes people feel like it's better to just keep going with it because you're already so far in. Why quit now? And then they don't even really, they can't see the positive in it. But thank God for John, because he's saved thousands and thousands and thousands of bars.
It's habit ultimately, right? Too, in that regard, it's very difficult to break that habit. And so if all you've ever known is not success, how are you supposed to all of a sudden just on your own one day be like, let me all of a sudden be successful?
Right.
Because if you could have done that, I'm sure no one chooses to be unsuccessful.
Right.
So.
Right. At some point he was successful, and it's just amazing how you can let yourself go. But the thing that just stood out to me the most in this entire episode is the fact that legally these people have not been, I mean, how has there been no legal action taken upon this man for not paying his employees this long? And why are these people, just as much as Ivan is set in his own ways, these people have not spoken up? I mean, maybe they say, pay me, but do something. Hire a lawyer and get your money that you're owed.
Couple of reasons, right? Number one, it is that dysfunctional family, and so for better or worse, you're not going to go, let's say you and I are brother and sister. I'm not going to, okay, so you owe me, I'm not going to sue you, right? Number two.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. Not the brother-sister thing, just the fact that you know that they're not your family.
Okay, but
that
more
is your
so,
employer. I mean.
But you had mentioned it. This guy's $100,000 in debt, $27,000 in taxes, plus whatever he owes the employees. So where is he going to get this money? So you sue him. Congratulations. You've wasted money on a lawyer to get nothing. You've won the case. What do you get? There
are a lot of lawyers you don't have to pay because they would just take this case on themselves. Just the fact that there's so much money.
But then what do you get?
You get your money back.
From who?
And it's an injustice to go to work every day because you get it from him, whatever.
And how's he going to pay it off?
He'd have to sell his place. He'd have to sell his place, and every dime would have to go to these people. I mean, I would be fearful every day that this man's going to go run off one day because he's so in debt, and I'm going to be stuck with no paycheck, and then I didn't say anything for 5 years. That's what I don't understand. These people are smart people. Why do such dumb things? I just don't understand.
I just
5 years.
I just think you're not going to get a dime. You could try, but you're not. Yeah, I just honestly feel like it's one of those situations like, him be like, great, so you won. I don't have anything to give you. And declare bankruptcy. And congratulations. Whether or not you've paid a lawyer, doesn't matter. You certainly wasted your time. I think it's one of those things. But let's move on to the stress test. Okay. All-important stress test.
Okay.
So I like... I really like the strategy how we're moving Sammy and Ivan into the kitchen. Not that Sammy's necessarily going to be in the kitchen, but they need to work together. And then the bartenders, one's blindfolded and the other has to lead them. And it was great how even with the first test of that, he said to the one that was blindfolded, hey, there was times she could have helped you, but you weren't listening. And I oftentimes we see like all these bartenders got to work together as a team, but to really have that illustrated in such a way, I thought it was a brilliant teaching technique.
Absolutely brilliant. They do that in a lot of different things, even in acting. When I did acting for 5 minutes in my life, a long time ago, they did that where it was like there was different things that you could do with your acting partner to help you understand how to listen to the lines so that you don't just blurt out your lines. I think any exercise in any type of job where you are learning how to become more of a listener, it is invaluable because communication, I believe, is the #1 factor that can make or break any business. Listening to your employees, listening to the people that you're working next to, I don't understand how that can be something that's so overlooked in any industry. So I think that was great as well. And I really think that it's going to take a lot of time for these people to implement these things that John has put in there and has instilled in them. It's not going to be overnight. It takes a long time to not just think of yourself and what you're thinking.
It does, but you ultimately still got to try, and I feel, one of the simplest ways is if especially as a bartender, what the other person is doing and the job that they do. And so why would you ever try to sabotage that or not try to help them? Because in return, wouldn't you want the same help if they could offer it to you?
One hand washes the other.
I never understood that.
It's a selfish thing. It's just, let me get my stuff out and that's it. And the best, just next time you go to a bar or a restaurant and you're getting great service, pay attention to what's going on around you. I do that all the time, just having worked in the restaurant industry in my life. And I am so impressed sometimes by how the hostess is also doing the waitressing and the waiter's helping the other waiter and the bartender's over here and like they're all helping each other. And I often wonder, are they getting each other's tips? What is it? I think it's just they really care about the service.
Yeah.
And they care about the restaurant. They care so much about it.
This is going to be the funniest thing in the world, hopefully, to everyone, except it could just be me.
All right.
However, I had just come from a place of eating, and I laughed because I said, hey, can I get this to go? And so the guy who's just basically been standing there for 45 minutes got another guy from the kitchen he's literally been cracking out food like nobody's business. And he's like, hey, what can I do for you? I'm like, oh, I just needed this to go. So he grabs 3 plates and goes and puts it like. But to me, the guy who was just standing there, like, couldn't you just take it to the guy and be like, hey, I need this wrapped?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just do that for the guy, because no matter what, you still had to go in the kitchen and come back out with him.
Right. Well, I think in the moment people don't think about things like that. But you're, as an outsider, you're seeing in and you're like, hello. I think he would have agreed with you if you brought that up to him after and said, you should have done this or this. He would have been like, yeah, I guess so. Sometimes in the moment, you don't really think the right way.
But it's, and I think Mia and Russell and John and every one of our kind of experts on the show would agree. You don't need to think.
Yeah.
That's the irony. You do not need to think. You just need to do. You just need to act in the best interest. Like, hey, if you happen to be walking down and you see people without drinks, have you been helped?
Yeah, you think it's common sense. It's not, because more often than not, this happened to me this weekend too, the same thing. Just people just not paying attention. No one cares. No one's helping out. You have to ask 40 different people for one thing. And it's just, there's no communication. That's where it all leads to. And I just think in the same case, it's the same exact thing. This person just wasn't thinking and didn't communicate what needed to be done, or didn't hear. It's just, or they're just lazy. They just don't want to do any work.
Yeah. Well, the stress test certainly wasn't going well, but then we did see the glimmer of hope when Sammy really kind of started taking charge, and he was able to, they certainly didn't save the day, but they were moving in the right direction. He was finally facilitating both with the food and with the drinks, and he, and certainly you could see everyone kind of get calmer.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, honestly, as a support system, because it's, for better or for worse, it's kind of the position that I've taken here at AfterBuzz TV, is you don't necessarily need to be the greatest at doing it, but you just know how to, it's just the ability to calm people down and just say, hey, both from a customer perspective and a staff perspective, like, hey, it's okay. We're doing good. So yes, it's stressful, but let's relax. Let's focus on what's at hand, and let's get this done.
Very interesting that you note that, because I think you really are onto something with that. When you think about how many employees, at least that we've seen on Bar Rescue, that are like, you're just like, where do these people come from? They're the best employees ever. They're the most loyal, amazing employees that are just sticking by these horrible people that are just so cruel to them in so many ways. Why are they still with them? But it makes sense. It's like there's always that person that's going to be more stressed out about the situation, whether it's the manager or it's a bartender, whoever it is. And it's always up to the other people to kind of take the initiative and calm those people down. And it seems like more often than not, all these the owners and the managers are the ones that are a little more stressed out. They don't know how to handle situations. And so it's just forced upon the employees to kind of calm everything down and figure out solutions. So it kind of makes sense why we always see that, because we see very neurotic, like just anxiety-stricken, emotional, bartender, bar owners and managers. And not in this case with the manager, but so. And
that would be my tip, right? So kind of earlier in the day before the stress test, I've been saying, it all falls on me. And my suggestion to that is, okay, it doesn't have to fall on you. I would say I've been blessed to get really good staff members that take a lot of the pressure off. And so I don't have to worry about those things, and vice versa. They don't have to worry about the other things because I got them covered.
Right.
And that's where the communication comes through. That's where trust comes through. And you just, if you understand everybody, they know what I'm doing, I know what they're doing, but it's that mutual understanding of, okay, you're going to get this done, and if for some reason you can't, it's okay if you can't. Just communicate to me, and I'll communicate to you, and that's how we're going to survive. And we will bump along the way, but we're going to figure it out together.
Well,
and
yeah.
So there
you run. How many employees are here? I mean, how many people work at AfterBuzz when you think about it? Like hundreds.
With the hosts, yes, absolutely.
I've never seen you freaked out once. Maybe once.
There's definitely times.
One time, but it was one time. And you didn't even freak out. I was like, you were like not completely calm for one time, your entire time that I've ever seen you work. And that just shows like leadership that not many people, I think you're born with it, honestly. I think a lot of leadership comes from just being confident and being able to handle situations. Doesn't mean that you're the best employee. It doesn't, I don't know. Maybe if you were one of the regular employees, maybe you would be a little more neurotic or whatever. Who knows? But in terms of you being the leader, you do not make anybody afraid that something's not going to be handled.
I don't. You know,
that's
I think
scary when you don't.
I think it is. I think you can certainly learn it, right?
Yeah.
And I equate it to a couple of ways. Number one, I always understood as an employee, it is my job to whatever I can alleviate from the boss, I do. And, you know, first and foremost, it has to be the job that you're required to do. And a good employee will go above and beyond what they can do, right? Because then, ironically, it works in the ways you think, like, then just the boss has nothing to do. But if you're hopefully in a good environment, and, you know, you will move up, even if that is not necessarily the case. But if you can even alleviate some of the tasks that the boss has to do, now you're a valuable employee. And vice versa, you start to learn. To me, it's like sports. You know, at no point, whether it's basketball, soccer, football, whatever, do you go into it new. And if you want to prove yourself as a good athlete to the team, well, you don't play timid, right? So if their only complaint with you as an athlete is going to be that, okay, wow, this guy communicates too much. Wow, he actually tries to get us in position. Wow, this guy hustles. Then okay. If honestly those are your complaints and I don't belong on your team, then so be it. But I do not want it to be because I didn't try hard enough, because I dropped the ball, whatever the case may be. It's, right. Well, you guys clearly have an attitude issue. Right.
Well, I think also it even goes to as far as name calling. You know, you don't name call, obviously, but telling your employees, like, go F themselves. I mean, how do you ever feel like you can walk in that place again and value your job and your boss and see any positive light in your task? I mean, this is not like they're sitting in some corporate office in a beautiful view and they're sitting. These are difficult jobs. Being a bartender is not easy. I mean, they're constantly having to be on top of everything, and like a really good employee in a restaurant especially, they're just constantly, their mind is going, they're 5 steps ahead of everybody. So just to be appreciated is so minimal. Like, why can't that just be the case? It's just more often than not, we're seeing it over and over again in these episodes. It's very disturbing. Absolutely. And, you know, to kind of, Sammy had an inkling of this, but Ivan obviously kind of went against it. But, okay, if they're that if they're that terrible at their jobs, just fire them. Right. Or if you keep getting so upset at them and they keep doing these same things, then eventually that's on you. Right. And you have to accept that. And Ivan did sort of, you know, I mean, this, I thought for sure we would have a bigger blowout between the way Ivan was yelling and the way Taffer was yelling. They were both big dudes. Yeah, they were. They were. But I just think you're so dumb if you ever yell at John. You can't, I mean, this guy is here to help you. When I can see if this was maybe season 1 and no one really, it's like, I'm guessing anybody who's been on Bar Rescue now has seen multiple episodes. He's not here to make anything difficult for you or to try to like ruin your job. He's here to help you. He's your saving grace. He's the last thing you have for any glimpse of hope in your life. And you go and you yell at him and you try to challenge him. It's like, you can't get dumber than that. I'm sorry. I would just be bowing down for him. Like, thank God for John Taffer. I don't know if we talked about that. Well, was I on the show last week? I was on the show last week, wasn't I? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I forget too. I don't know. I think I was, because no, I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't, but I was talking with Gavin and Mia, who were both here last episode, and I said, listen, if literally my bar, and this is, you know, perhaps, hopefully, this is why I would never be unsuccessful, at least in the bar business. But I said, like, if I knew John was coming, the very least, I'd be cleaning up for 4 days We've said straight. This multiple times, yes. I'd just be like, hey, John, like, hey, man, everything's good. Exactly. Everything's clean. Like, what else you got? Because I tried to do that. You know, and so. Just treat it like you're having a guest stay at your house. Like, hello, let's just do the very basics. It's just unbelievable that they don't. I don't know if they do it for entertainment value and they think it's smarter to not just to be exactly like they are, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is a celebrity. He's John Taffer. I would be like tidying up for 2 weeks if I knew he was coming. It's crazy. place is filthy usually.
Here's what I would say. Like, if you're doing for entertainment value, the joke's on you, because
Right.
imagine if this guy, John Taffer, was literally able to go into your bar
Yep.
and start right away. And if it wasn't a cleanliness issue, if it was, if you could figure out if it honestly wasn't a staff issue, imagine how much you could honestly get out of the 4 or 5 days out of this if he didn't have to, we didn't have to spend time cleaning up and going over this stuff.
Right.
That how much that would elevate your bar. Speaking of elevating your bar, I really loved this. I don't know, maybe because I was born in Germany.
Yeah.
I love German food,
Yeah.
but I really love the German theme.
I did too. Is like whatever it was that they it's amazing how he constantly has these different products. Like, what was it, Bartender?
Yeah.
I mean, I find these things so interesting. Like, I hope they utilize these afterward, because I feel like people that are so just like how Ivan was 4 days earlier before the renovation, I don't know if he'll be able to implement all of these things that John is teaching him, because he was so far in the gutter to begin with, just in terms of like the way he was talking to his employees and everything. But if just the things that he gives each episode, that John Taffer gives them in each episode, he could transform his bar. Just, what is it, like, it's inventory, it counts your inventory, it counts. It's just amazing the things that he puts in there. He does not just paint the walls. I mean, we say it all the time, but it's unbelievable the amount of time that goes into designing these and reinventing these places. It's beautiful.
I think my favorite episode, I forget what it is, from a couple weeks ago, right?
Is it the fire one? The firehouse?
No, the one that we revisited a second time.
Oh,
right?
yes. It was in California.
Yeah, and Orange County. And
Orange, California.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it was one of my favorites was because it's one of those things, that's the one that makes you realize that no matter what, he just puts a system in place. But the system, ultimately, you kind of have to adhere to.
Right.
It doesn't run itself. It's not robots or like magical elves in the middle of the night. Like, you have to adhere to these methods.
Right.
And so, I mean, heck, I could come up with 1 trillion systems, but if no one's going to implement them and no one's here, I would like to think that AfterBuzz has a pretty good system. But if no one adheres to it, if no one's accountable to it, it's all just going to fall apart.
He sets you up for success. What you do with that setup is up to you. I just would be up all night reading his books after and just making sure that they were at 15% 6 weeks after.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. I mean, these people have seen multiple episodes, I'm sure. They must know that you'd have to stick to it.
And here's what I will say, right? So I've mentioned IT is kind of the update, right? We can go back in a minute and talk about how beautiful everything was. But in terms of everything after, they've kept the name. Mm-hmm. Sales, as you say, are up. Overall, positive reviews. Couple of negative ones. They say, they wanted the bratwurst and the chef had left for the evening. I know he was training somebody, so maybe it was just a matter of, he's not the youngest guy. No. I don't want to call him old.
No.
But, at the same time, it's good that he is training someone, so it could have been in a period when he wasn't done training somebody that some of the more negative reviews came in. But I think overall, you got a really good concept, and hopefully you can't really mess that up. And I think Sammy won't.
Do you see a lot of German-themed bars? I don't.
There's a few in Hollywood. It's taken me a long time to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not castle ones. I haven't seen a castle one.
No. Definitely not a castle one. Castle themed anything is always rare. I mean, we got like the Excalibur Hotel in Vegas, and then we have obviously the what is it, White Castle burgers or whatever.
That's why it was funny.
I've never had one of those. Have you had one?
Only from they have their mass produced ones that you can buy at Costco.
I've always wanted to have one.
They're
side note.
They're okay.
Yeah. Are they? Yeah. People say they're amazing. Some people.
It's a burger.
It's a burger.
Yeah. No.
Really?
That's Jonathan from the booth.
It's got to be the castle. Then just the castle theme just makes you excited.
But I think what's nice is they really, with the stone and everything, like the ones that what was nice is they had a lot to work with. 4,000 square feet. huge for a bar, by the way.
like
and again, the castle,
the L-shaped bar, all the
exactly.
just the
because the ones I've seen, because it stuck more to the castle theme. The bars that I kind of know are more like, I don't know how to describe this, but they're more like a pub, and so they're more for like we're just gonna chug tons of beer, and they have the big boots, you know, that you put beer in, and I didn't see that this was in our bar, but this one seemed a little more classier.
Yeah, it definitely
with the apples and the
beautiful.
You know, garnished specialty drinks. It was amazing.
It was amazing. I think they should do a show on Spike of just all the renovations, just like featuring like the 10 best renovations or something. Because I can't pick. I every week I'm like, this is my favorite.
I wish they expanded. You know, they had Ivan and John kind of talking about how the renovation would happen, and that John needed 36 extra hours, I believe. Is that what it was? And I like John's interaction through this process, and I really wish we got to see that a little bit more.
Yeah, or even like behind the scenes or something. Yeah. Like, you know,
just 2 minutes of that. Give me 2 minutes. That's all I'm asking.
I know. That's I always find that very interesting too, where they come up with all of this, and just the renovation. I always feel like they could put like a couple extra minutes just in showing us how they come up with it and everything. It's so unbelievable.
I mean, you have so many home improvement shows that in itself could be an episode.
Totally. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. Spin-off.
There you go. You already got the footage.
I mean, it's seriously awesome though. Did you feel like it did justice to any German bar, like an authentic, real German bar?
I felt it succeeded, especially in a place of Pomona, and yeah, I would say overall 100%.
Because you've been, obviously being from there, did you feel like there was anything that was like, oh, you wouldn't normally see that there? Or
no, I mean, granted, for me, if you ever go to a place like Solvang, I like an all-encompassing place, you know, so like a full town that's kind of decked out in this sort of tradition, but you know, you can't fault the bar for that because you know, the bar did what it could, and it's not like you're gonna get the town to convert in that way. So to have this sort of escape. And again, it was beautiful. It was big. It was wooden. It had the various chairs. I can't say enough for this place. Now, granted, I wish it had like Jaeger schnitzels and things like that. Now we had to keep it more limited to the
Jaeger schnitzel? I know Wiener. Is it Wiener?
Wiener schnitzel.
Yeah, because that's what Wolfgang Puck's like known for. Like his Wiener schnitzel. It's like veal and it's pounded really thin and everything. But like that's more Austrian, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar, right? It's a lot of like breaded meats and things like that.
But what is the one that you just said?
Jägerschnitzel, it's similar, you know, usually served with like coleslaw, mushrooms, sauce type thing. And so, you know, I think there was a bar that they did where they did a lot of stews, and so they did that because it was cold outside, and so you know, 8 months out of the year people would come in there for comfort you know, and mashed potatoes and things like that. And so this Pomona, you know, slightly different, so you couldn't go as grease, you know, I mean, granted bratwurst is pretty greasy to begin with, but it's still not to the full level, I think, that it could be if it was in a colder environment. Right.
It's California weather. People don't want to have really like a tons of hot food. I'm sure they're looking for something lighter and So
I felt for the location and using the German, they blended it overall very nice.
That's coming straight from somebody that knows it more than anybody. So that's cool.
I don't know about more than, I mean, there's certainly more people that know better.
I'm not German, so I've never been there. Interesting. I was just curious to get your perspective on that.
There you go. All right. So fans at home, let us know what you guys thought in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know why you haven't, but do so by going to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. We're now on SoundCloud. It's pretty cool. It's you can use that. We're also still on iTunes. And whatever other platforms that you just want to listen to us, whether you have an Android phone, an iPhone, or a Windows phone, some of you guys have. So we're available for the various platforms. You want to watch, you want to listen, we're there. It's free 99. You know what else is free 99?
What?
Bar HQ by John Taffer.
Yep, very true. Very true. That's why I watch all my episodes.
So definitely check that out. And John's book, Raise the Bar, get that. The convention is coming up end of the month.
I'm going.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at
The one
you.
in Vegas.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, Rich and I going.
You know, you guys should definitely, if you're in the bar industry, definitely check that out. Worth your time, worth the trip out to Vegas. In the meantime, where can the people follow you?
The people can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Daniels and Instagram, Miss Ashley Daniels.
And of course, AfterBuzz TV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Undergaro for Kevin Undergaro's Twitter and Instagram. At Tall Mia for Mia Mastriani, and Lula Cherry Films for Dorinda Barker. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time for another Bar Rescue After Show.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. My phone was...
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.